I'm Kari Aguila, and we're here talking to some of the people in Broken today. And we want to talk a little bit about Sweet Baby Jesus. We have the talented, amazing Taylor Edwards, who plays Annika. And before we get going, we want to hear a little bit about Taylor. Can you tell us how you got started? Were you in that first
I
scene
wasn't.
with us?
The way it happened is I ran into Kari Aguila, who I've known for some time at Whole Foods. And she said, you should come and do this. So you all had developed all of your characters, and I thought, why not? Sure, I'll check it out. And came in, and I think the first scene I did was with Julie Bragg, and that's when Annika was born. So it was a lot of fun to see it come out of that, and then it just got more and more interesting and more fun. So that's how I ended up here with Kari Aguila recruiting me in a grocery store. So
as she will do, yeah,
she will do that.
She'll do that. If you ever see Kay in a grocery store and you don't want to be in Broken, go down a different aisle.
Yeah, you're going to have to walk away rapidly because she can move.
And if you ever want to see something mysterious, go do an improv class where Taylor's there. Because 1 minute she's there, and the next minute she's not there.
Because she's like the shadow.
She's
she
like
has the
the
power to
queen.
cloud men's minds.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first time we met you at one of Kay's classes. I remember she was like, this woman knows how to use space objects. She's the space object queen.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she's talking about. I was like, okay, I guess. So why does Kay think you're the space object queen?
Kay and I both studied with Gary Austin, who's the founder of the Groundlings. And gosh, when did I meet him? Sometime in the mid to late 90s. No, I want to say early to mid 90s.
It was around 95 because that's when I started and that's when I met you.
I think it was actually even earlier than that because Gary was coming down to San Diego, and I was living in San Diego at the time. So I studied with him for several years, and when he stopped coming to San Diego, I would get off work at UCSD and drive to LA for his Thursday night class and then drive home the same night and go to work in the morning. I would leave at 3 o'clock and I would get there at 6:30, 6:45.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So, and then I had a 3.5-hour drive home at 11 o'clock. And work in the morning because I was the administrator for adolescent medicine. So
how does space objects, though? That was from Gary's class?
Yeah, Gary was very insistent that if you are going to act like you have an object.
Like a glass. Like if you're holding a drinking glass.
Yeah, if you're
in your
holding
hand.
a drinking glass or you've got a sandwich or you're doing something like that, that if you put it down on a table, you remember and you see where that table is. And that you pick the sandwich up because the audience saw you put it down. The audience knows what you're doing, and if it doesn't look right, it takes them out of your performance.
So you're standing on stage with nothing. You're pretending there's a table. You're pretending there's a sandwich. You're pretending there's a glass. You have to really commit to knowing exactly where you set it down because if you put it here on the left and next time you pick it up here on the right, the audience is totally going to pick that up and it'll take it out of the scene.
If you're going to do space work, it needs to be very good work or you should never do it.
And yes, this is why we should never use space objects.
Well, and
we're on the radio. You can't see anything.
But we do it really well.
We're so good at space objects. If you guys could see us.
Yeah, well, we're on the radio. Our space objects are
so
perfect.
But here's the reason that it comes into play, especially with radio, right? Yeah. In podcasting, is because if I can see it enough to do space work, I see it, which translates in a very interesting way to the audience, kind of like old radio used to do with the sound effects and the rest of it. Because I'm seeing it, you start to visualize it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a lot of fun.
And it's really interesting you should say that, Taylor, because we're all experienced improvisers. But a lot of the things that we learn in doing improv on stage, we can't use here because it will, if you move around too much, it will make your jacket make shushing noises
or bump the microphone.
Or you'll bump the microphone or you'll turn to another actor and talk to them, but then all of a sudden you're turned away from the microphone and we can't hear you.
Exactly.
So it's a different way of working.
It is, and it's a fun challenge. I really enjoy doing this because of the challenge involved in in my scene in Sweet Baby Jesus, I am seeing what Joey is describing in the armoires and the drawers and all of these different things. And I've pictured what color the walls are. And when everybody, when Mo and Joe, as they call themselves.
Jomo.
Jomo.
Yeah.
Mojo.
Mojo.
Mojo Jojo Mo. Anyway, it's so fun. So when they start describing the drawers, then they're adding also, and so descriptors become very important.
But I love the beginning, like near the beginning of that episode where you're in Brick's office and you convince them to leave, and you're
They're
going.
like, I bought you a coffee.
You're going through the
it's
drawers,
there.
and it's like you're kind of interested in what's in the drawers, but more interested in the actual drawers. Like, ooh, this one feels like it's on casters.
Yeah.
It's so smooth. Ooh, you're a tough little drawer, aren't you? You don't want to open.
That was a funny thing. I think maybe because I don't remember what episode in season 1 you first just showed up in, but I do, now that you're talking about how Kay found you in a grocery store. That sounds bad. But like I remember when you started, we'd all been sort of developing the characters for a couple episodes.
Yeah.
So we didn't really know who Annika. I think it took us a couple of episodes to sort of figure out who you were, for you to figure out who you were. And so we were sort of trying on a lot of little things. Like I remember early on it's like some issues with your feet that never really went anywhere.
There's something
Like,
special
there's
about your
something
feet, but we never
special,
really
and we're
answered
not
it.
sure what it is. And those are secrets that you can keep, Taylor. That's okay. Right? But there was this drawer sort of fetish, maybe. Or
And I should point out, I've never seen Taylor's feet. She's never worn sandals or anything. So maybe there is something special about your feet. I don't know.
Closed toe
My
sneakers right
feet
now.
are perfect, just as they are.
But anyway, so this episode we wanted to kind of highlight this weird drawer thing that you had going on, but it felt clear to me that Annika wasn't just this ditzy, has a crush on Mark, following him around. Like she couldn't just be that person,
Right.
She couldn't be just that narrow of a character. And so we were trying to figure out like who is she, what is she, and in the first scene of Sweet Baby Jesus, she clearly is getting Joey and Mo out to snoop. And she even says in there, I've managed to snoop in everybody else's place. This is one I haven't been able to get to.
Yeah.
We're like, what
Is
the
that Brick's place?
heck?
Brick's
Brick's
office.
office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already gone through Brick's house at this point.
Yes, it's true.
So
yeah.
I've been through everyone's homes.
Yeah.
So.
And we're not really sure why. And
Yeah.
we don't know that for a long time.
Well, and I enjoyed playing something so ambiguous.
Yeah.
And nobody ever really knowing or understanding, but not liking me. I mean, I have to admit that it was also fun to have kind of the contest, if you will, with you as Rose.
Yeah.
And just go, oh my God, what is so special about Rose that everybody likes her? And bring that kind of angst to the character, because I do think that there was a true love and attraction between Annika and Mark.
Yeah, she loves him.
Yeah, but Mark
yeah.
sings songs about Rose.
I know.
But
And
his
that's
hands when he's pulling
Yes.
the espresso machine.
yeah. So
And I love the scene in the New Year's Eve where she goes, touch my sleeve.
Yeah.
Touch the other one, Mark. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
probably feels the same, really.
yeah, right.
I love
right,
it. It's
right.
so funny.
Yeah, he was brilliant in that. Yeah.
She's trying so hard to get him to fall in love with her, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, hence
Yeah.
Carlos.
Sad thing.
Yeah, Carlos
Yeah,
had
Carlos
to be.
comes later. Yeah, everything gets
Yeah.
and etc. Shall
Yes.
we say?
Well,
Yes.
Carlos is neutral territory for all the women, isn't it?
Well,
they
I
know
suppose so.
there's no future. He's
Carlos
very
is
discreet.
a lovely man.
Yes.
It's all
Yeah.
just physical with Carlos.
That's right.
That's
right.
exactly.
All the women, it's just physical.
Well, one fun thing about this episode in Sweet Baby Jesus, though, there was a bit where Bert and Annika were talking about the drawers she wants
Yes.
Bert to build, right?
Yeah.
When Heather comes in, back in Cabin Fever.
Right.
And Annika says something like, I want it to be as smooth as the inside of Mark's drawers. And Bert, the former copper, goes, how do you know what Mark's drawers feel like on the inside? And she doesn't answer, and he kind of goes, Well, anyway, so how about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Like, he picks up on those weird little things about her snoopiness, but lets them go. Like, he sort of
Yeah.
just files them away.
And I think that's more of what we were talking about in another episode about how, everybody in Broken has to get along.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
Bert,
Yes.
I think Bert notices a lot of these things, but just is like, okay. it's not worth mentioning. It's going to cause trouble if I bring this up, if I push it.
Yeah, Bert files it away.
Yeah.
To be used later.
Things that make you go,
Things that make you go,
It's kind of like you are, actually.
It
Mike
is
Fuller.
kind
There
of,
you go,
yeah.
Mike. Yeah.
Maybe you should run through some of the episodes and every now and then put a
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did like the fact that this was Annika's, like the first time we really started fleshing out Annika's character.
I did enjoy getting out of the higher kind of ditzy voice and getting into a lower, more, what are you doing in my house kind of thing.
And I think this is the first time we find out that Annika owns a silencer.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
was
Come
there-
on.
I mean,
Is it my magic? Was there a reference to someone burying someone behind the Chernigosk? Or was that just my
Well,
imagination?
near the end, she really threatens Joe and
Yeah.
Moe, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's a barrier.
Oh,
I
okay.
think she, when Annika finds Joey and Moe snooping in her house, it's like, what are you doing here? I could destroy, because Joey and Moe are like, we know about you, Annika. We know about your non-existent past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because they made
Okay.
that phone call like to Fairbanks trying to find out about Annika. They jumped to all
Yeah.
these wild conclusions.
Okay.
It's clearly a government conspiracy. And Annika sort of says, and this is a sneaky part too. She goes, really, you know about me? Maybe I know some secrets about you, Joey, Moe. Maybe there are some things that I could tell people about you. And I remember Joey and Moe were like, never mind, we didn't see anything. We don't know anything. We gotta go. Bye.
You know, it's interesting you should say that, Carrie, because this is one of the few episodes where Mary Vanderwall Kitterick, who played Moe, appears. But I didn't realize, I'd forgotten that she is an even bigger conspiracy theorist than Sheriff Jim.
Even bigger than Johnny 99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sheriff
Yeah.
Jim subscribes to Conspiracy Theory Weekly.
Yeah, no, Moe definitely has some conspiracy theories. She goes off on this rant when they're trying to find out about Annika, and she says something like, it's just like how the government is controlling the weather and and like she goes off on it, and she's like, and they all know about it, and it's a conspiracy, and then Joey goes, and people come into your room at night when you're sleeping and scream in your ears. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, speaking of Joey, one of my favorite, another of my favorite things about this episode is after Annika leaves, after she's confessed that she has this drawer fetish to Joey and Moe, Joey's like, oh, well, it's not that weird. Like, I like to sniff books. And Moe goes, really? You like to sniff books? I didn't know that. And she's like, you can't tell anybody. Pinky swear.
Pinky swear.
Yeah.
This was the
Yeah.
first pinky swear,
Yeah.
right?
This was the first pinky
yeah,
swear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Annika makes them pinky swear right in that
Right.
first scene, not to tell anyone. And she frames it like, I just have this fetish and I like to feel drawers.
Yeah.
And she makes herself sympathetic, like, oh, it's just kind of a weird thing, but she'd be so embarrassed. And if Mark ever found out, he'd never talk to me again.
He'd never make
give
me another
he'd never make me
coffee.
another
Right,
coffee.
right.
And, and she, in this first scene, goes back to that ditzy sort of place to manipulate Joey and Moe into silence.
Yeah.
Well, she's never been through my drawers.
She has.
Yes, she has. So you think.
I know all about it.
Annika's
spoilers.
Annika's always been a standout for me because I never know what the hell's going to happen. Because
is
you
true.
are
Yeah.
deliberately vague.
Yes,
And
and it became increasingly difficult to be deliberately vague
Yeah.
as the recordings went forward, as the show went forward. How vague to the language, and how many different ways can I say nothing?
That's what in my mind I've always thought, who is Annika? Right? Who is
Yeah.
this person?
She's one of those people where it's hard to get a read on her.
Yeah, she's like, oops, I knocked the mic. You're at a party, right? And you're having fun, and I'm like loud and effusive and say whatever comes into my mind. And then you're in the party and you see someone standing over the other side of the room looking at you, watching you, and I hate that. I hate
that's
that
me.
feeling.
And
That's Annika. Right?
Well, it's not really until season 2 that we really get to see Annika, the real Annika in action, like
Yeah.
when she's in the scenes with Bert, when they're,
Yeah.
when we find out about her real profession.
I don't know. I guess I like to hope that her love for Mark was real, though. Like, I do think she really had a big crush on
Oh
him.
yeah.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I believed as well, because he's also odd, and she can tell that he is odd, even though she doesn't know everything that's going on with him. And I think she feels a strong kinship with him. Like we've got that connection going,
Yeah.
and it's never reciprocated, so that just
No.
makes it even more difficult.
Sorry, it's
Yeah,
true.
He has
wow.
eyes for no one but Rose
Yeah.
and Brooke.
Poor Brooke.
We never
Yeah.
did find out what happened to Brooke.
I know what happened to Brooke, and you know what happened to Brooke, and you know what happened to Brooke. We all know what happened to Brooke, but
We're not going to tell.
Mark's actor, Michael Crowley, cannot accept what happened to Brooke. We've told him a couple times. I'm like, this is what happened to Brooke. He's like, no, that's not it at all. No, happy roses, sunshine, daffodils. I'm like, sorry, this is what happened to Brooke, and he cannot allow it. As a human being, he's like, that never happened. Be quiet.
Yeah, we all know Brooke met an untimely end.
And it may or may not have been. Okay, it was Mark's fault. Okay, it was
Yes,
Mark's fault.
yes.
Mark killed Brooke.
But not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
But he would just, Michael won't accept that.
Michael can't allow it.
Right.
So let's say that here while he's
Yeah.
not in the room.
So don't tell him we told you.
Don't tell him we told you.
He's
but
not
it was
the
his
only
fault.
one that suffered the slings and arrows of the writers. Right?
It was so obvious to everyone but him.
Right?
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
How did Brooke die? We can't say, can we? You have to listen.
Sweet baby Jesus. Is that her before or after
no,
Cabin
it's
Fever?
way before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way before.
Well, keep listening. Listen to
Okay.
Cabin Fever, and then you'll know what happened more to Brooke, I think. It becomes a little
Yes.
clearer.
We made such a big deal out of it. Like Mark's mother talking about Mark's penance for what happened to Brooke and how he can't leave the town because of this mystical enchantment. And we never answered it. Maybe if there's a season 3, we'll find out.
We just have to use our imaginations
Yes.
like good listeners, I
Yes.
guess. Be a good listener and use your imagination.
Well, this you got to admit. I mean, Sweet Baby Jesus was one of the early ones,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and somewhere along the way, the season 1 took a dark turn, and then
did.
season 2 did a similar thing too.
Takes a dark turn. Well, there are mysteries afoot. You know, this is not a
Yeah.
town full of happy people.
Yeah.
This is a town full of broken people.
Yeah.
I mean, that and you know, truthfully, that is where the name Broken came from.
Yeah.
That everybody in town is broken in some way or another, either
Yes.
emotionally, psychologically, or in Bert's case, initially, physically,
Yeah.
with his gammy leg, you know.
That's I
Or
think
all the above.
Brett suggested that we put a sign at the front of the town saying, "If you're not broken, don't
stay
bother."
here.
Don't
Right.
stay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay.
Yeah, it is a town, and it is a characteristic of us all, too,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think Paul had one of the best lines in this episode.
Oh.
We were talking about it before we started recording. Do you
Oh,
remember?
because there's the whole other story going on.
Yes.
Right,
Because
there
everybody
is.
shows up at the Chernigosk,
Right.
Yeah.
and the Sweet Baby Jesus statue has been stolen. And Joey and Mo jump to the conclusion that Annika stole it
Right. That's
because
right.
they suspect her of being this Snoopy Snoop
because
person.
of the drawer fetish.
Right.
They automatically,
You know,
she
a
must
drawer
have stolen
fetish,
the.
Okay, I'm not
thief,
really sure how
the
that-
two just go so well together.
Oh, she
Yeah.
clearly has a baby Jesus statue fetish.
somewhere
too.
hiding in a
Absolutely,
drawer, I guess.
absolutely.
Okay, that may have been a leap we jumped a little too hard on. But poor Father Francis shows up one morning at the Chernigosk and the baby Jesus statue is missing. Now, this baby Jesus statue sparks a whole detour for the show. Like, this is another one of those moments where the baby Jesus gets stolen and we have to make that mean something for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And boy, does it start to mean
It
something.
does, yeah.
So it was one of those weird things that pop up and we're like, oh, I guess we have to go this way now.
That was the first time that the dagger was mentioned, wasn't it?
Well,
No.
No.
The dagger was in the documentary
In the very
episode.
first
Okay.
episode. And I almost wish he wasn't because it's weird. But again, we're improvising, so what can you do?
But the last time the baby Jesus, somewhere there's a referral. The last time the baby Jesus was stolen, there was a murderous rampage.
well,
in
we
town.
find out later
Yeah.
Later,
There's more
okay.
than one.
there's other things going on in the future.
Okay.
But this is the first time the baby Jesus has been stolen. But we loved, Mike Fuller and I both love when Paul Eenhoorn as Brett
Yes.
Brickman, we're all there and he goes, Father Francis is in a tizzy, right? And he's like, oh, what are we going to do about the baby Jesus? Oh, la, 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 la. And Paul goes, well, I've got a baby Buddha in my
in my garage.
in my garage.
My garage.
I could just bring that here. And,
As one does.
right. And somebody's like as a
Why not?
placeholder? And he goes, baby Buddha, baby Jesus, it's the same thing, right? That's
didn't
my
you knit when
Australian
you were a
accent.
And we
by
go,
the way.
and we go, no, it's not. And he goes,
I'm
they're
not
both babies.
Really? They're both babies.
So you're parking a baby Buddha in a garage?
Well,
I
Right?
know, he just, for some reason, he has a baby Buddha statue in
And-
his
Yeah,
garage.
but a garage?
I don't know why.
I don't
know
it
why.
might have actually been Bert who says, oh, the baby Bob Marley and the baby Ruth
Bader
Bader Ginsburg
Ginsburg,
statues look so sad without him.
Like in the Chernigorsk, we only have statues of baby heroes.
I know.
Our personal heroes in baby form. Ay, ay, ay.
Bring that
Baby
Buddha.
Mark Twain. And
Yeah.
yeah, like all kinds of weird.
Well, that just goes to show you what a good man Brick is, right?
Yeah.
Because he's problem solving, even though, you know.
He's in crisis mode.
Yeah.
There's
I'm
an empty
reading-
space. Let's put a baby in it. Well, this is when they're in the Chernigorsk, Jim and Flash, the police cat, of course, come, and everybody's given an assignment to go try to find the sweet baby Jesus statue.
Oh, yeah.
Joey and Mo sort of almost ask Sheriff Jim about the Annika suspicion,
Yeah.
and
But
he
the
shuts
pinky
them down
swear.
somehow, right?
He's like,
Well,
do you
no,
know
no.
something?
And they're like, well, we have. They go, what if you promised something? And he's like promising to uphold the laws of Broken Alaska or something like that.
Yeah.
They go, well, what if we pinky swear? And everybody goes, oh, well
Oh,
then,
okay then.
Yeah.
you can't tell. I mean, that's the most high sanctified
And I think
swear in the
that that's
history.
the only time the pinky swear actually holds up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. It's the only time it worked. But so everybody leaves to go find the baby Jesus. And that's when Bert pulls aside Mark and Rose and Brett Brickman.
Yes.
And finally, this is the first time Bert tells Rose about the dagger.
Yes, because he's already confided in Brick and Mark, and this is when he brings in Rose into the thing too.
Well, and because he
okay.
has to tell her because she somehow magically bears such a striking resemblance to his dear wife Sally.
That's right.
It could be because the actor who plays Rose plays dear wife Sally. I don't know.
Could be. Who
I mean,
knows?
maybe.
I mean, that
It's-
is a coincidence.
It's a coincidence, right?
That's just
But
phenomenally
it is a
coincidental.
phenomenal coincidence.
is.
Bert has talked to
That's
Brick
true. He's
and
talked
Mark
to Brick and
before
Mark.
about it. He's brought them into the confidence too.
Before the baby Jesus
I think
episode?
before Baby Jesus, I think
Yeah.
it was, he's talked to them before, but this is the first time he's telling Rose
Yeah.
that she should be on her guard. And of course, Brick says, you should buy a gun, right?
No, actually, Bert says that.
Is it the bird or is it
Yeah,
the
says, I really think you should be packing heat.
I am
And he
not
goes like
gonna do
70
that.
of the 71 people in this town are packing heat.
Yes, oh, I love that.
in true Alaska form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not going to do it though. She just
No.
she does not want a gun in her hand.
And we'll
That's
find out
sad.
why in season 2.
So
Yes, we do.
So deep.
Yeah, so we find out. You have to listen.
You'll just have to listen, I guess, right? Yeah.
Very
So
good.
that's a weird sort of aside to this whole episode, and it's a lot of information to digest. And then all of a sudden we just zip back. To, you know what? There's that scene where Joey and Mo are in Heather's office,
Yes.
and they get Heather to leave, and Joey calls Fairbanks pretending to be Heather.
Oh, that is
I
hilarious.
love
That
Carol
was-
Sparrow for that scene.
Yes.
Because she goes, I'll do it. I'll call him and I'll pretend to be Heather. And she goes, hello? This is Heather O'Hearn from Broken Alaska?
I know, it sounds nothing like Heather.
Yeah,
Nothing
Carol
like
is just
Heather.
brilliant when she does that.
Yeah.
So funny. I loved that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Joey and Jomo,
Jomo.
discover that Annika is not who she appears. And I feel like there have been a bunch of hints before this too, where somebody will say, oh yeah, Annika told me she's from Nebraska. And somebody else will go, she told me she was from New York City. Or,
Yeah.
there's always something where
Idaho,
she's told every single person in town a different story about herself.
And nobody thinks to question her. That's the part that I really enjoyed about playing this is everybody just went, oh yeah, okay. And it didn't matter how vague, nobody thought to look into or get involved with. And I think that also played into why Annika is so lonely and wanting someone like Mark, because nobody really took an interest in what is really going on with Annika. And Mark talked to her when he got her a coffee.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything to him, but it meant everything to her.
That's actually a problem with real baristas is
Yes.
that because, you're paid to be nice to people, people think that you're like really interested in them and, ask them out and it's uncomfortable. It's like,
sad.
other professionals like nurses or people like that where it's their job to help you and people mistake that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love in the last scene of this one, when Annika finds Joey and Mo sneaking through her stuff. It's the irony of Broken, too, that in the first scene, Joey and Mo are like, oh, she's a horrible person. She was sneaking through someone's drawers.
Yeah.
And in the last scene, Joey and Mo are like, let's sneak through someone's drawer.
Yeah. Let's sneak through her house.
Yeah.
Let's break into her house.
And
sneak
that
through
was,
things.
that scene was actually difficult from a sound design perspective because there's one scene where Joey falls over the toilet.
Yes.
And I'm like, what does falling over a toilet sound like? It took me a long time to come up with a halfway convincing sound effect for that.
Well, Carol Sparrow was so good at that. She was so
Yeah.
descriptive of how she was opening the bathroom window and getting her leg over. And it took her like 3 minutes to get into the house.
Yeah.
And then Mo goes, okay, hold on, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
Well,
But that's typically how it happens, though, right? The first person
love
has
that.
the difficulty,
And
and the
doesn't-
second person is easy in.
And doesn't Joey say that she had to suck in
Yes.
doesn't Joey say that they have to suck
yeah.
in their gut?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Joey is a
started calling her
complicated
she?
character. No.
No.
Well,
No.
so Joey is so hard for us because we're old people, frankly. It's so hard for us because Joey is a gender neutral character. And so we refer to Joey as Joey or as they, and we try really hard. But the person playing Joey is Carol, and she is a she.
Yeah.
And so there are a couple of times throughout the season where we don't
Yeah.
catch it, and someone says she for Joey. And usually, especially in the beginning, we were like, no, we're going to say they. It's like,
Yeah.
this is, we're trying to be
Inclusive.
inclusive and respectful. And this is what we have to figure out how to do because welcome to 2019, right? But it's difficult, and it was tough for us to remember that because we're talking to Carol in the room as Joey. So there are a few times when we'll say, Joey wanted to know what
Joey
Joey's
was looking for.
chair was because Joey said that Joey wanted, oh man, we suck at this, you guys. So it was tough. It was hard for us to and that was just who we were as actors trying to sort of,
Well, I think that's who
relearn
we
this in
are
people,
as
too.
a nation. Also,
Yes,
is how do we respect people for who they are and how they want to be talked to,
right, and referred to as.
and referred to.
And I love how much easier it's getting now and how,
Yeah.
for us, just over the last 2 years, they, them versus he, she has become much more obvious and easy. And it's if someone wants to be referred to as whatever they want to be referred to as, God bless them,
Yeah.
But that has changed in 2 years, and we're
It's habit, not anything
it is
else.
absolutely habit for us as
You can edit
the
this
elderly.
out, but I walked into my bank a fair while back, and they were.
Jesus, Paul. How can you say
God Almighty!
Holy baby Jesus.
Holy sweet baby
Really?
Jesus, Paul. Come on. Oh my God.
Brilliant.
Coming up next week, our new show, What Old People Complain About.
So Paul doesn't want to interact with people in the bank, but
But
he
he
does
does
at the
want to
grocery
interact.
store.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about where.
As usual, we'll edit out most what you say, Paul. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Yeah, can I tell you that there are no rights in this show because if we say something they don't like, it's gone.
Oh.
Here comes the violin again.
But Paul, we don't want to embarrass you by putting up what you say all the time either.
Now you know why I chose a character that says very little and is ambiguous.
Ambiguous.
All right.
Well, thank you, Taylor Edwards, our Annika
Thank you,
extraordinaire.
Kari.
It is always fun to see what you'll come up with that is vague and ambiguous on the show. And we look forward to fleshing out some more of that character because she has a lot going on, especially in season 2. If you're a fan of Annika,
Yes.
keep listening because she becomes quite a character.
Yeah.
We never will find out what's going on with her feet, but still. And thanks George Birch Wertz and Paul Eenhoorn and Mike Fuller, and I'm Kari Aguila, and keep listening to Broken Alaska.
Tune in to Broken Alaska, and you'll find out there's more to be revealed.
That's true.
There's always more to be
Always
revealed.
more to be revealed. That's for sure.